Liquidity. Imagine a lot of traders opened a buy position right here. Where would they have put their stop losses? Below this low. They would have put their stop losses below this low. And because there are a lot of stop losses below this low, there is liquidity here for the market to use to make a move. The market needs liquidity to make moves. All right. Market price needs liquidity to make moves. When market price makes use of stop losses of traders as liquidity, it will have the fuel it needs to go to the opposite direction. Take note, the opposite direction. So if you should see liquidity being cleared like this, as you can see here, there were stop losses here, there was liquidity here, and when liquidity was cleared by this move, the market went to the opposite direction. When liquidity was clear, when this liquidity were swept, when this liquidity when the stop losses here were used as liquidity, when the stop losses here were used as liquidity by this particular move right here that went below these lows, the market had the necessary fuel to move upwards. Why? Because it had used the stop losses that were here for liquidity as liquidity. So liquidity is like the fuel market price needs to move. And when stop losses are used as liquidity, the market price now has fuel to move to the opposite direction. Liquidity is very important in the market. You must learn to use liquidity for your advantage. I'll be showing you what liquidity is. I've told you what liquidity is, and I will show you how to identify liquidity on the chart from this moment. So to identify liquidity on the chart, look for relatively equal lows. Relatively equal lows. Below relatively equal lows is liquidity. Take note, below relatively equal lows is liquidity. Above relatively equal highs is liquidity. Then when you see horizontal, when you see diagonal lows being created like this, we call this what? Higher lows. When you see higher lows like this that are closely packed, that are very close to each other, higher lows that are very close to each other, not higher low that is like this before you see another low is hard. No, higher lows that are very close to each other. When you see it like this, when you see very closely packed higher lows, below those lows is liquidity. Then it's same thing for highs, lower highs. When you see closely packed, closely together lower highs, above those lower highs is liquidity. Take note. So what do you see here? This is a low, this is a low, this is a low. These are closely packed lows. Observe closely. Let me zoom in. Observe closely. These are very closely packed lows. And if we are to take this line and then put the line here, let's see. Let me further zoom in. You'll see that the particular candlestick's low did not go below the low of the particular candlestick. And this particular candlestick low is way lower than the front two candlesticks. And because this particular candlestick is lower than this candlestick and also this candlestick, so the market was creating what? Higher lows. And what did I say is below higher lows? Liquidity. So there's liquidity here. And because there's liquidity there, the market actually came downwards to take out the liquidity that was there, as you can see with this particular move. And when the market used the stop losses here as liquidity by sweeping the liquidity there, the market moved to the opposite direction, as you can see. So identify what the type of liquidity I mainly love to identify is higher lows kind of liquidity. That's the one I love to identify the most, and I think probably lower highs kind of liquidity. So this is my best kind of liquidity that I identify on the chart. I hardly look at relatively equal lows or relatively equal highs. Hardly. Unless probably they are very closely packed. Let's say like this. They are very closely packed, and they are like probably many relatively equal highs closely packed, many relatively equal lows closely packed. Probably then it might be considered, right? Well, but what I mainly look out for is higher lows that are closely packed and lower highs that are closely packed. That's like, but I mostly trade buy, so I probably consider more the higher lows. All right. So that's what if I'm looking for liquidity, that's what I'm always looking at for, the higher lows aspect, the higher lows kind of liquidity that are closely packed. And that's what you should also. It's better. So now you understand what liquidity is and how to identify liquidity on the chart. So let me see if there's another example. Look at this. You can see that these are um lower highs, lower highs. So this one is a lower high compared to the particular first high, but they are very relatively equal highs. And look at how closely packed they are. Look at it. Are you seeing how closely packed they are? So you can simply just draw your line like this. So you can simply use your tool to 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 draw your line like this. So observe something that happened. The market moved upwards above the high. So it cleared all the liquidity that were here. The market price used all the liquidity, all the stop losses that were here, all the stop losses that were here as liquidity. And immediately he cleared the high of immediately he cleared the highest high, just like it also cleared the lowest low of the previous liquidity I was showing you that had to do with higher lows. So for these that have to do with lower highs and relatively equal highs, observe that it went above the highest high to take out to make use of all the stop losses here as liquidity. And immediately it did that, what did it do? It went to the opposite direction. It had the fuel it needed to move to the opposite direction. So liquidity is how the market moves. F is what the market uses to move. It is like the fuel of the market price on the chart. It is like the fuel of the market price, right? So you can see that immediately uh all the stop losses here were used as liquidity. By the market price going above the ISI, the market moved to the opposite direction. So this is just it's about liquidity.